about as well. So there's a lot, there's several of them out there, not as many trade schools as there used to be.
Okay.
Becoming more, actually trade schools are starting to come back after many years of being gone, just because of the demand.
Oh, awesome to hear. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start out by introducing myself to everyone. My name is Jamie Brown, and I'm the Career Guidance Tech at Poway High. We also have joining us, when I work in the Titan Center, we also have joining us Emily Stevenson, and she works in our CTE department. And our guest speaker and industry professional that's joining us today is Matt Getz, and he is the general manager with JP Plumbing, a San Diego-based company. So Matt, would you please introduce yourself to all of our students and parents and PUSD staff?
Sure, thank you. Hey, everybody. As Jamie said, my name is Matt Getz. I'm 62 years old, and I've been in the industry for 44 years. As you can tell by that timeline, that I started quite young. I got started in the industry purely by accident, and it's been a good industry. This is a very, very good industry for you to want to get into. I was able to get some help very early on, so I'm pleased to be able to hear and help pass on any help I can.
Very cool. Well, now that we know a little bit more about you and all of your experience, can you kind of map out a day, what it's like in your world for these students?
Well, this industry has a lot of different facets to it. When you talk about heating and air conditioning, we are actually, depending upon if you're going to be a service tech, if you're going to be an engineer, you can go to a college and become a mechanical engineer, which pays really good. That's a triple-digit figure. You can be an installer. You can work in the sheet metal side of it. You can work in the development side of it, which goes back to your mechanical engineering. A typical day for me, I started out as an apprentice in the field. And a typical day when you're an apprentice in the installation department is you get a list of the job that you're going to do. You go out with your tools and you actually install a furnace, or you install a furnace and an air conditioner and the ductwork. If you're in the service industry side of it, you go out and you might get multiple service calls a day, 3, 4, or 5 service calls a day. The nice thing is that you get to meet a bunch of people. Most of them are really super awesome, really good. Your attitude's good, their attitude's great, or even better. And when you work on these different systems, it might seem, oh, I'm going to be doing an air conditioner 6 times today at 6 different places, or I've got to do heating, and then I got to go to an air conditioner. Every single job, although they're the same, is different. You might run into one thing where all that's wrong is the plug. You might run into another thing where you have a leak for your refrigerant. You might run into another one where you have a cracked heat exchanger. In that case, you got to shut it down. You're going to save those people's lives, literally, because you're going to prevent them from getting carbon monoxide poisoning. So a typical day can vary quite a bit, but it's fun. There's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of hard work out there, but I enjoy the service aspect of it. I like going to a customer's house. I'll introduce myself to this customer. I'll ask them what's going on, what's the matter with your system, what's your take on it. One of the fun things for me is to try and interpret what is wrong with their system by their description. Oh, my furnace was working good. Then it just started going chug, chug, boom, 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 boom. And it stopped. Well, you got to know what the chug, chug, boom is, but it gives you a place to start. You get in there, especially if you like to work on things with your hands. And then you can figure it out. And solving this problem for the customer is a great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers your question or not. But
No, most definitely.
more detailed, but that's not what we're here for.
No, I mean, that's wonderful response. You were kind of talking about the mechanics of what you do. Do you
Mhm.
want to show the students what the system looks like that we're talking about?
Yes, I believe I sent you a picture.
Okay, let me screen share that. Let me see if I can do this. Hmm. Well, hold on. Okay.
There, you got it.
Can you see that?
I can see that. Can everybody else see
Can
that?
everyone see that? Thumbs up. Okay. Sorry, that took me a little bit longer than I liked, but we're running. We're good.
Okay, on the left-hand side, you're going to see a typical gas furnace. This is what's going to be in your mom and dad's house, in your house. This is what we call the residential side of the industry. You'll see that everything is really labeled there. However, um, this is an older furnace. Where it shows the exhaust stack, actually we call the flue vent. And we have now what's called inducer motors. It's not just a draft. But knowing how these components work and going in and figuring out what's going on, that's what you're doing as a service technician. Putting this in so it looks like that is what you're doing if you're an installer. Doing it correctly saves money on the whoever it is that the houses it's in, but also is a benefit to their health. Air conditioning and heating nowadays is more of a health essential service than it used to be. On the right-hand side, an air conditioning schematic program. That might look complicated, but it's really not. On the right-hand side, you're going to see the condenser side of it. That's the part that sits outside. On the left-hand side is the evaporator or the indoor air side. Warm air comes in at the bottom where it says 75-degree air on the left side. It blows over the coil. Watch your airflow arrows. Typically, it will remove 20 degrees of heat. This is a little bit of technical stuff. This is so basic. You are removing heat and you are putting it outside. You are not making cold air. So knowing how that heat transfer works is what gives you the education to be able to do what you have to do. In fact, fun fact, I'll sound like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, is that the Greeks and the Romans actually had heating and air conditioning in their buildings and their bathhouses. And what they used basically what was called a radiant system, which is still the most effective way to heat and cool a building or a house today. In fact, the Egyptians had the first evaporative air conditioners. They would hang reeds soaked in water in the windows. As the air blew over those reeds, the water would evaporate and it would cool the interior of the house. So that's heating and air conditioning in a nutshell. It's a question.
That's really cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing. So we have, all this knowledge. We have seniors that say, well, I find this interesting. I want to look more into this, and might have some seniors in here that are, that are graduating in the next few weeks. So to the seniors that are graduating in the next few weeks, kind of what's where can they go for training, and what type of education do they need in order to be able to do the things that you were talking about in your screenshot?
Okay. So because of the current situation with COVID and the way that we're just now coming out of the lockdown and stuff, it's kind of put a damper on some of the abilities to get in. What I would recommend, there's really three different ways that you can get involved in this. I would call around to different heating, air conditioning, and plumbing companies, and I would ask if they're looking for apprentices or if they're looking to hire some laborers. Even offer to go in as an internship. Give it a try. See if you like it. This is not only something for guys to do. Both guys and girls can do this industry. One of the best sheet metal people that I know is a female who she just retired, and she learned it in the Navy. And she came out and she could build anything out of metal. So the other person that I know that I want to share a story with, I'll just call him James. That's not his real name. I met him about 11 years ago, and I came into the company to build their heating air conditioning department, and he was a laborer in the warehouse, just throwing parts out to people that needed parts. Doing this, he learned what the parts were and what they did to an extent, so that he would go to the supply house, he'd be able to pick up the right stuff. Because there's a lot of different terminologies, a lot of different things that you got to learn, but they're not that complicated. You'd be surprised at how easy it is. He started working his way up, went from being a delivery driver to where he would start helping on jobs where they were having issues, decided he wanted to do heating and air conditioning. Within a span, and I know it sounds like a long time when you're 18 years old and graduating from high school. Within a span of 10 years, he went from being a general laborer and a helper to an apprentice, to an installer, to a service tech, to be one of the top service techs and installers in San Diego County. I feel very blessed that I can call this gentleman my friend, but he is so knowledgeable because he learned from the ground up. That's the best way to do it. And that's the way that I learned. You learn from the ground up if you can. If you can find a company that will hire you as an apprentice or hire you as a laborer, work in the warehouse, push the broom to get started, do whatever it takes, go to community college while you're learning, while you're doing this. A lot of companies will help pay for your education to learn this industry. This is a good industry. You can get in and you can start making anywhere from $15 to $18 an hour. Depending upon the company that you work with, you can actually see raises anywhere from every 6 months to every year. Right now, I cap out my guys at $37 an hour. However, it doesn't mean they only make $37 an hour. If these guys become what we call service sales technicians, in other words, I come into your house, Jamie, and I'm looking at your system, and your system is 15 years old, and you're having some problems. It's going thump and irk and burp and this and that. And I ask you, how long, Jamie, do you want to keep your system running? You say, I want to keep it running as long as possible. I don't want to spend any money I don't have to on this. Mm-hmm. Costs a lot of money. So a good service sales technician will look at it and say, well, okay, I can make this system last for another 5 or 10 years, however long you want. We'll want to do a maintenance contract or whatever. But if I can come in and we replace your system, it'll last you, new system will last you for 20 years. This system will also save you 60% on your energy bill. So you're going to spend $800 less a year to heat and cool your house. And you say, oh, that really sounds great. That really sounds great. Let's do that. Well, I just made an extra $500 to $1,000 as a spiff commission because I'm not only serving your needs, but I'm serving my employer's needs and I'm getting rewarded for that. So there are ways that you can actually make more money. Actually ways that you can do. I have a friend of mine in Phoenix, Arizona. He makes over $100,000 a year in this industry doing sales and service.
By doing exactly what you said.
Exactly. And it's like anything else. You get out of it what you put into it. And you're not going to stop at the top. You're not going to start at the top of the heap.
Got it.
At the top of the heap. But you can get into it. And that's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter if you decide to get in this industry or if you decide to go work for airlines or you decide to go work for Chevy or you decide you want to do something else. You have to start somewhere, and you always have to start at the beginning, and then you need to work your way up. And right now, the construction industry is screaming for people. Over the last 15 years, there's been a huge deficit in qualified people who want to get out there and do this job.
Wow, that's good news for our students. Great news. So Matt, I'm a senior in high school and I'm going to be graduating in the next few weeks. And I'm interested in this. What do I need to do in order to meet people? How do do I go on the internet and I look for local plumbing companies that are in the county and, call them up and ask them if they're hiring? How do I go about getting started if I don't know anyone?
That's exactly what you want to do. In my day, we used the Yellow Pages. We opened the Yellow Pages and we looked at local companies.
I know. I don't think these kids know what the Yellow Pages are, though.
Yellow Pages are a phone book. You see them in the old time movies where the guy runs into the phone booth and he opens up this black book and he rips a page out of it. That's the Yellow Pages.
Yeah. I think now it's more like Yelp.
Yep, you can go to Yelp. You can look on the internet. There's a lot of companies that are always looking for people. There's some good companies that are going to want to hire somebody who wants to learn the trade, because you can start with this company. You can actually have longevity there. You learn how to do it their way. You learn how their company works, how their paperwork works, what their core values are. That's really the best way to do it. If you talk to your family, talk to your friend, maybe your dad, maybe your mom knows somebody in the industry, maybe your grandpa or your friend. You see a service truck sitting outside a house when you're out walking your dog or hanging out with your friends. You and your girlfriends are going down and laughing and giggling and talking about boys, and you see a service truck. Stop for a minute, walk up and say, "Excuse me, sir. I'm really interested in getting into this trade. Is your company looking to hire anybody new? Who do I call? Who do I talk to?" If you are outgoing, you can do a lot. If you're not that outgoing, you still have to make that step. There's things that you can do. I was a high school dropout. I went and got my GED, and I got into the trade, and I haven't stopped learning. You learn something new every day. The way you get to the point where you run a department like I do, you do the engineering that I do, is because you never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
There's something new every day. Every day. You get in there, make some phone calls, talk to some people. Guys, if you're mechanically inclined like I am, I like to take things apart and find out how it works. I like to build things. This is a great job for you. This industry is changing dramatically. We have had so many changes in the last 10 years, it's phenomenal. We are the last, well, let me say one of the last trades where you have to not only know heating and air conditioning, you have to know electrical, you have to understand plumbing, you have to understand you have to understand how to make things from scratch. You can take a flat piece of metal, you can make a box. You can take a flat piece of metal, make it square on one side, make it round on the other. You can take a flat piece of metal, have it square on this side, and it will twist and go this way. We're the last industry where you just can't buy all those pieces.
Mm.
So if you're mechanically inclined, you like to build things with your hands, get in the sheet metal side of the industry. If you're mechanically inclined and you like to take things apart and find out how they work, get in the installation side of the industry, get in the service side of the industry. Ladies out there getting ready to graduate, don't be shy. It's anybody's game. It's anybody's game. Some of the best techs that I see coming up are women because they seem to work harder, they seem to push harder. Everybody is equal in this industry. Don't be shy. If you want to get in it, give it a shot.
Matt, that's great advice. I mean, and kind of along the lines of what you were talking about, you know, if you like working with your hands, if you like solving things kind of outside of the box ideas and offering, but then also if you're, you know, a social person and you've got that salesy side of you too, you know, this could be, you know, a career for you as well. And then maybe you kind of pick up on the mechanics, you know, as you're kind of learning as well. So it's a fit for anyone, it sounds like.
Yep.
So we know all the reasons why you love this industry, and you know, can you just share with us like a little bit of challenges that they may have kind of along the road that maybe you could share?
Yeah, yeah. The challenges that I face now are the changing codes that we have to deal with. The way that we're setting things up with the industry, and what you're probably going to face is that California leads the country in energy savings. Whether you're going to be a service tech or an installer, or you're going to be a designer or an engineer, no matter what you do, you have to deal with these. These are called codes, building codes. So put in a system, it has to meet a certain criteria. The criteria is checked by the building department, by an inspector, and also by a third-party person called a HERS rater, a home energy rating system person. So the challenges that we meet are trying to make sure that everything is to the building code requirements. We've had 6 building code changes in the last 2 years, and we have another one coming up. So as they change, they're all designed to give us what's called a zero carbon footprint. And a zero carbon footprint is that as much energy as your home pulls in, it uses that energy 100%. It doesn't waste any. And the less the waste, the less energy you use. So all industries in a home or in a building are going for a zero carbon footprint. We want to lower the amount of energy we use. So the challenge you have is knowing what your building codes are going to be, is going to be knowing what you have to do to meet those requirements, and learning what those requirements are and why they are. For me, in general, the biggest challenge that I have is getting the people that I train to not only know how to change a part or how to fix a part or to put this in or put that out or to do a quick diagnostic on a system. Almost anybody can learn that. The challenge is, and what I like to see, and what your challenge would be to know why a system works, understand how it works, feel what it is. You can hear, a good technician can go in and he can hear what's going on with the system. Just like anything else. If you've got a person that's really good with math, they don't even think about it. You rattle something off, boom, they got the answer. Same thing in our industry. My challenges are teaching my guys to understand that.
Okay. Yes. Uh, so in talking to the high schoolers, um, it sounds like, it's just continue pushing yourself, you know,
Mhm.
and, find an HVAC company that would be willing to take you on, call around. If your parents don't know of anyone, then,
Mhm.
search online. Um, and also, they can look into community colleges that are in the area. I know that you teach or you're associated with San Diego City College.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
with the community colleges in general. I don't actually teach any community colleges. The,
Okay.
the classes I used to teach for the unemployment department, the EDD, until they closed the program. Now I do most of my training in-house for my techs or anybody else who wants to come and join.
Okay.
Definitely go to the community colleges. The advantage of doing the community colleges is that they do have a job hiring assistance program.
Okay. And I did a little bit of research, and I know that Palomar has this program, and I know that San Diego City College has an HVAC program. So Miramar is looking into it. They know that there's a need, and so, but they don't quite have one yet as of the last time that I kind of looked into it. Um, you know, um, I think one of the kiddos was asking a question, what experiences do you wish you had in high school that have led you to this career path?
Would you say that again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I know that you met someone outside of high school that led you into this career path. Can you
Mhm.
think of any career, like any experiences that you wish you had while you were in high school that may have helped you discover that this is the career path for you?
Well, I don't know how it is up in Poway. I know down here in San Diego and South Bay, they don't have hardly any technical classes in school anymore, like shop classes.
Right.
Um, shop classes were being phased out of high school when I was in high school. Um, I wish it had been more prevalent. Um, again, I got into this purely by accident, and I'm glad that I did. I almost feel like it was destined to happen. It just kind of fell in place for me. But I wish that they had a career day like what you're talking about here, just this online class, somebody that has experience, give me an idea, pique my interest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I really wish that I would have had in high school that would have made a difference.
So kiddos, we do have, we have an auto program. And so I feel like, that could be kind of an opportunity, to learn some things, learn how to be handy with your hand, and
Mhm.
become more mechanical on that end. And maybe that could even, parlay into something different.
Yeah.
So,
And to jump into, we also have construction classes. They are offered at Abraxas, but they are open to any student in the district. So those of you that are listening, if there's a class you're interested in, talk to your counselor. We have online HVAC and plumbing. We do have in-person construction 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's definitely opportunities. And I also think there's an online plumbing class as well. So there's opportunities if you want to try something while you're in high school, while talking to someone maybe outside or looking for things outside of high school as well.
That's great. I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Because that gives the students a chance to experience the different facets that we're talking about.
yeah, absolutely. Um, well, I think you've answered all of our questions. I know that, you know, you've been so helpful to all of the students today, and I'm so grateful for your time. Um, so we appreciate having you and sharing all of your knowledge. And, um, if we have any questions, can we follow up with you after?
Absolutely. You have my email address. Feel free to pass it out to anybody who might want questions.
Okay.
As we come out of this COVID crisis, I'm hoping to building an HVAC department like I do. Eventually, I need people, and I like to get young, eager people, kids that are hungry. And I might have an opening. Probably, I might have an opening later this summer. I don't know. But give them my email address. I'll be happy to answer any questions that they have. Give them any hands that they want, any help.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and students and parents and staff. Thank you so much for joining today for our online trade day. We're happy to make this happen. So thank you again, Matt. We really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for having me.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your day, Matt.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.